Imagine you are standing in the middle of a busy street. Cars are honking, people are rushing, and everywhere you look, there's chaos. Now, close your eyes for a moment. What do you feel? Is your mind racing, trying to make sense of everything around you? Are you overwhelmed by the constant noise, both external and internal? In today's world, it's easy to let negative thoughts take over. From small worries about the day ahead to deep fears about the future, it often feels like there's no escape. Have you ever caught yourself replaying a negative conversation over and over again in your mind? Or perhaps you found yourself dwelling on past mistakes, wishing you could change them? Why does our mind so easily cling to negativity, even when we know it doesn't serve us? Now, think about a moment when you felt truly at peace. Maybe it was when you were alone in nature, or perhaps it was a quiet moment of reflection. How did that feel? What if you could carry that sense of calm with you, even in the midst of life's challenges? What if you could free yourself from the constant loop of negative thoughts and find true peace within? That's what this video is all about, helping you discover the tools to clear those negative thoughts from your mind and bring in a sense of balance and peace, rooted in ancient Buddhist wisdom. It's time to take the first step toward transforming your mental and emotional landscape. Welcome to Wisdom Writings, where we explore the deeper insights of life, guiding you toward a more peaceful, mindful existence. If you're ready to change the way you think, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of you have subscribed. Your support means the world to us, so please hit that subscribe button, share this video with those who might benefit, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's begin this journey together. In today's fast-paced world, it feels like our minds are always in motion, constantly jumping from one thought to the next. But what if you could learn to slow down that noise? What if you could begin to see the world with clarity and peace, free from the constant chatter of negativity? Stick with us, because over the next few minutes, we will explore how to break free from the hold negative thoughts have on your mind and start the journey to mental clarity and peace. Understanding the nature of thoughts, a Buddhist perspective. There is a saying in Buddhism, the mind is everything. What you think you become. When you think of your mind, what comes to mind? Is it just a random collection of thoughts, memories, and images? Or is it something deeper, something that shapes who you are and how you experience life? The truth is, our minds are not just passive receivers of information. They are active creators of our reality. The Buddha once said, "With our thoughts, we make the world." This profound statement invites us to look at the nature of our thoughts more closely. Often, we don't realize the power our thoughts have over us. We tend to think of them as fleeting, momentary events that come and go. But in reality, our thoughts are much more than that. They are seeds that, when nourished, grow into the experiences of our lives. If we allow negative thoughts to take root, they can shape our lives in ways we may not even fully understand. Think of it like this. Have you ever noticed how, when you start thinking negatively about a situation, your mind begins to feed on those negative thoughts, creating even more negativity? It's like a snowball rolling down a hill, picking up more and more snow. The longer you feed these negative thoughts, the larger they grow, until they can overwhelm you completely. It's easy to feel like we have no control over this process, as if these thoughts are simply out of our hands. But, according to Buddhist teachings, this is where we have the power to change. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from our attachment to thoughts, feelings, and desires. We often believe that our thoughts are who we are, that they define us. But the truth is, thoughts are not permanent. They are like clouds in the sky, they come and go. They don't last forever unless we hold on to them. If we don't identify with them, they have no power over us. When we can observe our thoughts without attachment, we start to free ourselves from their grip. This idea of observing thoughts is at the core of mindfulness, a central practice in Buddhism. Mindfulness teaches us to pay attention to the present moment, to notice what is happening in our minds, without judgment. It's about being aware of our thoughts without getting caught up in them. Imagine you are sitting quietly, and a thought comes to your mind. Perhaps it's a worry about the future or a regret from the past. Instead of following that thought down a familiar path of anxiety or self-blame, mindfulness invites you to simply observe the thought, acknowledging it without judgment. You don't have to do anything with it. You don't have to believe it. You simply watch it, and then, like a cloud in the sky, it drifts away. At first, this might sound simple, even easy, but in practice, it can be incredibly difficult. Our minds are so accustomed to constantly chasing after thoughts, analyzing them, trying to make sense of them. We get so caught up in the story our thoughts tell us, that we forget we have the ability to step back and observe them from a distance. The power lies in our ability to notice when our minds are becoming consumed by negative thoughts and to make a conscious choice to let them go. In Buddhism, there is a teaching called the Four Noble Truths, which explains that suffering is a part of life, but it's not something we have to be stuck in forever. The second truth is that suffering arises from craving and attachment, and our attachment to our thoughts is a perfect example of this. We often crave the comfort of familiar thought patterns, even if those patterns are negative or self-destructive. It's like being trapped in a cycle of thinking the same things over and over again, even though those thoughts only cause us pain. But here's the good news. Just as we can become attached to negative thoughts, we can also become detached from them. This is where the practice of letting go comes in. The Buddha taught that the path to liberation is through detachment, not the kind of detachment that means withdrawing from life, but a detachment from the need to control every thought and feeling. It's the ability to let thoughts arise, acknowledge them, and then let them pass without holding on to them. When we start to understand the nature of our thoughts, we begin to see that they don't define us. They are simply mental events that arise and fade away. If we hold on to them, they become part of our suffering. But if we let them go, we can experience true freedom. This freedom comes not from the absence of thoughts, but from our ability to relate to them differently. Instead of identifying with every thought, we learn to see them as they are, impermanent, fleeting, and not truly who we are. A powerful Buddhist meditation practice called vipassana helps us develop this awareness of thoughts. Vipassana is sometimes called insight meditation, and it involves observing the body and mind with great awareness. When we practice vipassana, we begin to see how thoughts arise, how they move through our consciousness, and how they eventually dissolve. We begin to understand that thoughts are not permanent entities. They come and go like waves on the ocean. They have no inherent power unless we choose to cling to them. This awareness gives us the space to break free from the cycle of negative thinking. When we become more mindful of our thoughts, we start to notice when they are veering into negativity. We can catch ourselves before we spiral into a negative thought loop. And instead of feeding that negativity, we can gently guide our minds back to a place of peace and stillness. This doesn't mean the negative thoughts won't arise. They will. But over time, we begin to create a new habit of not holding on to them. One of the most important teachings of Buddhism is that everything is impermanent. This includes our thoughts. Just like everything else in life, our thoughts are constantly changing. The more we practice mindfulness and detachment, the more we can see this truth for ourselves. When we understand that thoughts are not permanent, we begin to let them go more easily. We stop attaching meaning to every thought that enters our mind, and instead, we simply let them pass by, like leaves drifting down a river. By understanding the nature of thoughts, we start to see that we are not slaves to them. We don't have to believe every thought that comes into our minds. We don't have to act on every impulse or emotion that arises. We have the power to choose how we relate to our thoughts. This is the essence of mindfulness, the ability to be fully present, to notice what's happening in our minds, and to respond with wisdom rather than reacting out of habit or fear. In this way, understanding the nature of thoughts is the first step toward freeing ourselves from the negative patterns that hold us back. By observing our thoughts, we can begin to break the cycle of negativity and start living with greater clarity, peace, and freedom. The more we practice mindfulness, the more we begin to understand that thoughts are not who we are. They are simply mental events passing through the mind, and we have the choice to let them go or to hold on to them. The key here is to recognize that we are not our thoughts. We are the awareness that observes them. This realization, in itself, can bring immense peace. When we stop identifying with our thoughts, we free ourselves from their power. And in this freedom, we begin to experience the true nature of our minds, clear, peaceful, and filled with the potential for true happiness. So, as you move forward in your journey, remember this: your thoughts are not permanent. They are not your identity. They are simply passing through. With mindfulness, you can observe them without being swept away by them. This understanding is the foundation of peace, and it is through this understanding that you can begin to release the grip of negative thoughts and experience the freedom that comes with letting go. When you learn to observe your thoughts in this way, you begin to cultivate a deep sense of inner peace. You begin to understand that no thought, no matter how intense or overwhelming, can define you. You are the one who observes, the one who witnesses, and in that space of observation, there is freedom. This is the heart of Buddhist teachings on the nature of thoughts, and it is the key to breaking free from the negative thought patterns that keep you trapped in suffering. The origin of negativity, tracing the roots in the mind. In the stillness of the early morning, when the world is quiet, take a moment to pause and reflect. Have you ever wondered where your negative thoughts come from? Where do these constant waves of worry, fear, and doubt arise from? Why does the mind so often seem to be its own enemy, constantly feeding you with thoughts that drain your energy and peace? To understand negativity, we must first understand the mind. The human mind is not inherently bad or good. It is neutral, like a canvas awaiting the brushstrokes of life's experiences. But just as a painter can choose colors of darkness or light, our minds often pick up thoughts that create a heavy atmosphere. These thoughts, when left unchecked, begin to shape the way we perceive the world and ourselves. You may have noticed how negative thoughts come and go, sometimes without any obvious reason. One moment, everything seems fine, and then, out of nowhere, a thought arises, one that drags you down. It could be about something that happened in the past, something you fear might happen in the future, or even something that doesn't make much sense at all. The negative thought is simply there, like a cloud blocking the sun. But here's the thing, these thoughts don't just appear out of nowhere. They are born from your past experiences, from the way you've been conditioned to think. The root of all negativity lies in the mind's attachment to the self. This attachment creates a sense of I and me, and when we begin to identify with this self-image, everything becomes personal. When something bad happens, it feels like a personal attack. When we make a mistake, we feel like we failed at being who we are. This personal identification is what feeds the negativity, making it stronger and harder to let go of. Think about how we react when something goes wrong. Often, instead of looking at the situation objectively, we turn it into a story about ourselves. If someone criticizes us, it's not just their opinion, it feels like a reflection of who we are. If we make a mistake, we tell ourselves that we are not good enough, or that we don't deserve success. These thoughts become a narrative we replay over and over again, shaping our beliefs and actions. This is the key to understanding the origin of negativity. It begins with how we view ourselves. When we are attached to a limited view of who we are, everything becomes personal. Our egos, fragile as they are constantly threatened by the external world. We feel like we have to defend ourselves, protect our sense of self, and prove that we are worthy. This is the cause of so much suffering. We hold on to these false beliefs about who we are and what we deserve, and they keep us stuck in a cycle of negativity. In Buddhism, there is a teaching that says all suffering arises from attachment. This attachment isn't just to material things or people, but also to our own self-concept. We cling to the idea that we are a certain way, and when life doesn't reflect that idea, we suffer. This is why negative thoughts so often arise. They are the byproduct of our attachment to an identity that is constantly being challenged by the world around us. Now, take a moment to reflect on your own life. How often do you find yourself clinging to ideas about who you are? Do you hold on to past memories, past failures, or past successes as a way of defining yourself? How often do you react to situations based on what you think about yourself, rather than what is actually happening in the present moment? The truth is, these negative thoughts are not who you are. They are simply the result of the mind's tendency to grasp onto things that cause discomfort. The mind seeks control, seeks comfort, and when it feels threatened, it creates thoughts that reflect that fear. But none of these thoughts are permanent. They are not your true essence. They are merely passing clouds in the sky of your awareness. The key to breaking free from negativity is to stop identifying with these thoughts. Recognize that they are just that, thoughts. They come, they go, and they are not a reflection of your true self. Just as you would not hold on to a passing cloud or a fleeting breeze, you do not need to hold on to these negative thoughts. They are not yours to keep. Buddha taught that our suffering is caused by ignorance, the ignorance of who we truly are. When we identify with the thoughts, emotions, and stories the mind creates, we lose sight of our true nature. The mind becomes clouded, and we forget that we are not the thoughts themselves, but the awareness behind them. By recognizing this, we can begin to untangle ourselves from the web of negativity that we have spun around us. It's important to understand that the mind's tendency to generate negativity is not something we can simply turn off. It's part of the human condition. But once we see the root of negativity for what it is, attachment to the self, we can begin to free ourselves from its grip. This is not about eradicating negativity altogether. It's about learning to see it for what it is, to recognize that it does not define us, and to choose not to identify with it. When you begin to understand the origin of negativity in this way, you begin to see how much power you have over your thoughts. The more you become aware of the patterns of your mind, the less control those patterns have over you. It's like being in a crowded room and suddenly noticing the stillness inside you. No matter how loud the noise around you may be, you can find a place of peace within. So, the next time a negative thought arises, take a moment to observe it. Don't try to push it away or fight it. Simply notice it. understand that it is not you. It is just a thought, arising from the mind's attachment to a limited view of yourself. And when you can see this, you begin to let go of the thought, just as you would let go of a passing cloud in the sky. In the next part, we will explore how you can begin to shift from this reactive mode of the mind to a more mindful, present way of living. But for now, take with you the understanding that your negative thoughts are not your true self. They are simply the result of your mind's attachment to an identity that is constantly shifting. The more you practice awareness, the more you will begin to see the mind's patterns for what they truly are, just thoughts, passing through, not defining you. The power of awareness, cultivating mindfulness through Buddhism. Let us start with a simple thought. What if, right now, you could become fully aware of the moment you are in? Imagine for a moment that you could clear away the clutter in your mind, the distractions that pull you away from the present, and simply be present. It sounds peaceful, doesn't it? Yet, this simple act of being fully aware is something that many of us forget to practice in our daily lives. We rush through the hours, moving from task to task, thought to thought, without ever really noticing the life unfolding around us. How often do you find yourself thinking about the past while in the middle of a conversation, or worrying about the future when you should be enjoying the present moment? The truth is, this habit of letting our minds wander away from the here and now is the root of much of our mental suffering. But what if there was a way to stop this cycle? What if you could train your mind to stay in the present moment, free from the constant barrage of negative thoughts? This is where mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness, in its simplest form, is the practice of paying attention to the present moment, without judgment, with full awareness of what is happening right now. It's about being fully alive in the moment, rather than being caught up in the past or the future. The teachings of Buddhism offer us a profound and simple path to cultivate mindfulness. The Buddha himself spoke of mindfulness as one of the most powerful tools for transforming the mind. He didn't promise that it would be easy, but he did promise that it would bring great freedom. It's through mindfulness that we can begin to notice our thoughts without getting swept away by them. Instead of being consumed by a negative thought, we can simply observe it and let it pass. We learn to see our thoughts as they're just thoughts, without attaching meaning or significance to them. In Buddhism, there's a teaching called right mindfulness, which is part of the Noble Eightfold Path. This path is not just a set of guidelines, but a way of living that leads to mental clarity and peace. Right mindfulness is about developing an awareness that is sharp, steady, and clear. It's not about trying to force your mind to be quiet, but about observing it with patience and understanding. It's about noticing how your mind moves and responds to things, and gradually, with practice, learning to guide it toward peace. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you found yourself caught in a swirl of negative thoughts? Perhaps you've been angry at someone, replaying the same argument over and over again in your mind. Or maybe you felt anxious about something that hasn't even happened yet. These negative thoughts are like waves crashing on the shore, constantly pulling your attention away from where you need to be. But mindfulness is like the calm sea, providing you with the stillness to watch those waves without being pulled under by them. When you practice mindfulness, you begin to understand that your thoughts are not you. They don't define you. They are like clouds passing through the sky, coming and going with no lasting impact. When you are fully aware, you stop identifying with these thoughts. You stop believing that every negative thought is a truth that must be acted upon. Instead, you see them for what they are, passing mental events that hold no true power over you unless you give them power. Buddhism teaches us that the mind is like a garden. If you plant seeds of negativity, worry, and fear, then those are the thoughts that will grow. But if you choose to plant seeds of awareness, kindness, and peace, then that is what will flourish. Awareness allows you to see what's happening in your mind and make a conscious decision to either let it grow or let it go. It's not about eliminating negative thoughts entirely, that's impossible. It's about choosing not to dwell on them, not to feed them, and instead, to gently return your mind to the present moment. One of the simplest ways to practice mindfulness is through meditation. In meditation, we sit quietly, observing our breath, and allowing our thoughts to come and go without attachment. At first, it can be difficult. The mind is restless, always jumping from one thought to the next. But over time, with practice, you begin to notice that the space between thoughts grows longer. You start to experience moments of true stillness. And in that stillness, you begin to realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer, the one who can choose how to respond to them. It's through mindfulness that you begin to heal the mind. By observing your thoughts with a sense of calm detachment, you stop reacting to them with fear or anger. You stop letting them control your emotions. Instead, you begin to create space for peace. This is the power of awareness. This is the power of mindfulness. And when you begin to practice this consistently, it becomes a tool that can help you transform the negative patterns of thought that have plagued you for years. In daily life, mindfulness can be practiced at any moment. You don't need to sit in meditation for hours to experience its benefits. When you're washing the dishes, you can be fully aware of the sensation of the water on your hands. When you're walking down the street, you can pay attention to the feeling of your feet touching the ground. When you're having a conversation with someone, you can truly listen to their words without thinking about what you're going to say next. The more you practice mindfulness, the more you begin to see how your thoughts influence your actions. You start to notice that when you are mindful, you act with more kindness, more patience, and more clarity. You are less likely to react to situations with anger or frustration. Instead, you respond with a sense of calm, knowing that the situation is temporary and that you have the power to choose how you react to it. Buddhism teaches us that we are not the masters of our circumstances, but we can be the masters of our minds. By practicing mindfulness, we begin to take control of our inner world. We begin to choose peace over chaos, calm over stress, and joy over fear. It's not about changing the world around us, but about changing the way we relate to it. And so, the power of mindfulness is not something you need to search for outside of yourself. It is already within you, waiting to be awakened. The more you practice, the more you will realize that you have the ability to create peace in your mind, no matter what is happening around you. It's a simple but powerful truth. Your mind is your greatest tool. Use it wisely, and it will lead you to freedom, breaking the cycle, disidentifying from negative patterns. When you sit quietly, without distraction, and just listen to the thoughts that arise in your mind, you may begin to notice a pattern. Thoughts appear, and then they disappear. But there is something interesting in this process. Some thoughts seem to cling to us longer than others. Negative thoughts, in particular, have a tendency to linger, and they often keep us trapped in a cycle, repeating the same worries, doubts, and fears. It's as though these thoughts take root, and the more we focus on them, the more they seem to grow. Have you ever caught yourself in this cycle? You start thinking about one thing, and before you know it, your mind spirals into 1,000 other worries. This is how negative patterns form. It's easy to get trapped in them because they often feel familiar. They feel like a part of who you are. But in reality, these patterns are just thoughts that we've chosen to identify with. They are not the truth of who we are. In Buddhist teachings, there is a powerful idea that we are not our thoughts. This simple truth can be transformative. It's easy to get caught up in the belief that the thoughts running through our minds define us. But the truth is, thoughts are just that, thoughts. They are fleeting, passing through the mind like clouds in the sky. They are not permanent. They do not define who we are at our core. When we realize this, we can begin to break free from the cycle of negativity. It's like standing outside in the rain. The rain falls, but you are not the rain. You are the one observing it. In the same way, you are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. Once you realize this, you can start to let go of the negative ones. You don't need to hold on to them or let them control you. Instead, you can simply acknowledge them and let them pass. You can choose not to identify with them. Breaking the cycle of negative thoughts requires awareness and practice. It's not something that happens overnight, but it starts with realizing that you don't have to follow every thought that arises. You don't have to believe every story your mind tells you. If you can begin to pause and observe your thoughts, you can begin to create space between you and the negativity. This space is where true freedom lies. For example, imagine you're having a conversation with someone, and a negative thought about yourself suddenly pops into your mind. Maybe you think, I'm not good enough, or I always mess things up. In the past, you might have believed those thoughts and let them affect how you felt. But now, with awareness, you can catch that thought before it takes root. You can recognize it for what it is, just a passing thought, and let it go. You don't have to carry it with you. It doesn't define you. This is the practice of disidentifying with negative thoughts. It's the understanding that you are not your thoughts, and you don't have to hold on to them. You are the one who has the power to choose which thoughts you give your attention to. This doesn't mean you can control every thought that comes into your mind. That would be impossible. But it does mean you can decide which thoughts to engage with and which ones to let go. In Buddhism, there is a practice called mindfulness. Mindfulness is the act of paying attention to the present moment without judgment. When you practice mindfulness, you become more aware of your thoughts and emotions as they arise. Instead of reacting to them, you simply notice them. And when you notice them, you can choose whether to hold on to them or let them pass. This is where the power of disidentifying with negative patterns lies. It's about recognizing that thoughts are not permanent. They come and go, and they don't have to control you. At first, it might feel difficult to let go of negative thoughts. After all, these thoughts have been a part of you for so long. They've shaped your sense of self and your view of the world. But as you continue to practice mindfulness and awareness, you'll begin to notice a shift. The negative thoughts will still come, but they won't have the same power over you. You'll begin to see them for what they are, just thoughts, and you'll learn to let them go more easily. One of the most powerful aspects of Buddhism is the teaching of impermanence. Everything in life is temporary, and that includes our thoughts. When we can embrace the truth of impermanence, we begin to see that no thought, no matter how negative, is permanent. This understanding helps us detach from our thoughts and break the cycle of negativity. Imagine that you're standing at the edge of a river. The water is flowing past you, and you notice a leaf floating by. The leaf is caught in the current, and for a moment, you follow it with your eyes. But then, the leaf passes, and you return to the present moment. In the same way, thoughts come and go. Some may seem important, but they too will pass. And just like the leaf, they don't need to be held on to. You can let them float away. As you begin to practice disidentifying from negative thoughts, you may notice a shift in how you relate to the world. You may find that you're less reactive, less overwhelmed by the small things that used to cause you stress. Instead of being caught in the current of your thoughts, you'll begin to find peace in simply observing them. And in that space of observation, you'll begin to realize that you are not your thoughts. You are something deeper. You are the one who observes. Breaking free from the cycle of negative thinking is not about forcing thoughts to disappear. It's about shifting your relationship to them. It's about seeing them for what they are: temporary, fleeting, and not a reflection of your true self. This shift in perspective can be life-changing. It allows you to experience the world with greater clarity, less fear, and more peace. So, the next time you find yourself caught in a negative thought pattern, take a step back. Observe the thought. Recognize that it is not you. Let it pass, and make the conscious choice to redirect your focus. With practice, this becomes easier. And over time, you'll find that you no longer feel enslaved by your thoughts. You'll begin to live with greater freedom, peace, and clarity. The Noble Eightfold Path, a practical guide to mental clarity. Let's start with a simple question. Have you ever felt like you were trapped in your own mind, caught in a cycle of negative thoughts, anxiety, or confusion? It's like being stuck in a room with no way out. You keep looking for the door, but you can't find it, and every attempt only leads you to more frustration. We've all been there, haven't we? This is where the Noble Eightfold Path comes in. It's not just a set of principles to follow, but a deep guide that can transform how you view yourself and the world around you. The Eightfold Path is often referred to as the path to enlightenment, but what it truly offers is the way to mental clarity and peace. It's a map that shows you how to remove the clutter from your mind and find a clear, focused path toward a calm and balanced life. This path is more than just philosophy. It's practical, real, and can be applied in your everyday life. When you think about the mind, it's like a garden. And just like any garden, if left untended, it can grow wild and overrun with weeds. These weeds are our negative thoughts, the doubts, the fears, the anxieties. But when you follow the path, you learn how to weed your garden. You clear the space so that your mind can grow in peace and wisdom, just like a beautiful, well-maintained garden. The Noble Eightfold Path teaches you how to do this in a way that is gentle and profound. It helps you see the world as it truly is, and more importantly, how to see yourself clearly without judgment or distraction. The first step on the path is right understanding. This is the foundation of everything. It means understanding life as it is, not as we wish it would be. It's understanding that suffering is a part of life, and that it comes from our attachment to things that are temporary. But it's also about understanding that there is a way out of suffering. When you truly understand that life is full of change, it becomes easier to let go of the things that cause you pain. This doesn't mean we stop caring about life, but rather that we learn to approach life with wisdom, seeing it for what it really is. The next step is right intention. Your intention is the seed you plant in your mind. If you plant a seed of kindness, it will grow into compassionate thoughts and actions. If you plant a seed of anger, it will bloom into negativity and harm. Right intention is about choosing what seeds to plant. It's about understanding that your thoughts, actions, and words all come from intention, and it's the intention that shapes your reality. When you set the intention for peace, understanding, and kindness, your mind becomes more peaceful. You begin to see the world in a new light, one where everything flows with ease. Next comes right speech. We've all heard the saying, words can heal, and words can hurt. Right speech teaches us how to speak with honesty, kindness, and purpose. It's not just about avoiding lies or gossip, but about speaking in a way that supports peace. The words we speak create an atmosphere, a vibration that affects everyone around us, including ourselves. When we speak with clarity, compassion, and truth, we help to clear the clutter of negative energy in our own minds and in the minds of others. Words are powerful, and right speech helps you use that power wisely. Right action follows. This is about how you act in the world. It's not just about avoiding harmful actions, but actively doing what is right and beneficial for both yourself and others. It's about living with integrity, kindness, and respect for all beings. Right action brings peace because when you live in a way that is aligned with your values, you experience a deep sense of inner calm. Every action becomes a reflection of your higher self, and as a result, you create harmony in the world around you. Then we come to right livelihood. This is about choosing a way of life that is aligned with your values and that does not cause harm. It's about finding work that is meaningful, where you contribute positively to society and don't compromise your own integrity. Right livelihood isn't just about earning money, it's about how you earn it, and whether it brings you closer to peace or further away. When your livelihood is aligned with your values, your heart becomes lighter, and your mind becomes clearer. Right effort is the next step. Effort is the energy you put into your practice, your relationships, and your life. It's about cultivating positive habits while abandoning the negative ones. Right effort is not about forcing things, but rather about gently and steadily working toward mental clarity and emotional balance. It's about consistently putting in the effort to nurture your mind and heart, so that over time, you begin to experience the natural peace and joy that arises from within. With right effort, you find strength without struggle and peace without striving. After that, we have right mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, without judgment. It's about paying attention to your thoughts, your feelings, and the world around you with awareness and clarity. Right mindfulness helps you recognize when your mind begins to wander into negativity and gently guide it back to the present moment. It teaches you to see things as they truly are, without getting caught up in distractions or illusions. With mindfulness, you begin to see the beauty of life in its simplicity, and you experience a profound sense of peace and clarity. Finally, right concentration brings everything together. This is the ability to focus your mind completely, without being pulled in multiple directions. Right concentration is developed through practices like meditation, where you learn to calm the mind and keep it steady. When you develop this skill, your mind becomes sharp, clear, and free from distraction. You experience a deep sense of peace and clarity that allows you to approach life with wisdom and grace. Following the Noble Eightfold Path is not an overnight process. It's a journey. Each step builds upon the last, gradually transforming your mind, your heart, and your life. It's about cultivating the right mindset, the right actions, and the right relationships with yourself and the world around you. As you walk this path, you'll begin to notice that the negative thoughts that once controlled your mind start to lose their grip. You'll find that peace becomes more natural, and your heart becomes more open. It's not always easy. Sometimes the mind will resist. But remember, every step you take on this path is a step toward freedom, clarity, and inner peace. And the best part is, you don't have to do it alone. With each moment, with each breath, you are moving closer to the calm, clear mind that is always within you. The Noble Eightfold Path is a way of life, a way of thinking, and a way of being that can bring profound change. Embrace it with patience, love, and dedication, and watch as your mind and heart begin to bloom in peace. Silence within, the power of meditation and stillness. In our lives, there is always noise. There's the noise of the world around us, the noise of people talking, the noise of things happening in the world that we can't control. But more than that, there is the noise inside us, the thoughts, the fears, the worries, the judgments. It's as if our minds are constantly buzzing with activity, like a swarm of bees that won't settle down. And yet, amidst this constant noise, there is a place of calm, a place of peace. Buddhism teaches us that the key to quieting the noise of the mind is through meditation, a practice of stillness that allows us to connect with the present moment. When we meditate, we are not trying to empty our minds of all thoughts. That would be impossible, and it's not the goal. Instead, we learn to observe our thoughts without becoming caught up in them. We see them for what they are, just thoughts, passing through, like clouds in the sky. At first, this may feel difficult. We sit down to meditate, and immediately, the mind begins to race. Thoughts flood in, one after another, and it feels like there's no way to stop them. But this is part of the process. The mind is not something that can be controlled with force. It's more like a wild horse that needs to be tamed gently over time. In the beginning, you may find it difficult to focus, but with patience and practice, something remarkable happens. The more we practice meditation, the more we begin to notice the spaces between our thoughts. At first, these spaces may be tiny, almost imperceptible, but they are there. And in these spaces, there is peace. There is silence. In the stillness, we can hear the whispers of our true nature, the part of us that is beyond the constant chatter of the mind. This practice is not just about sitting in silence for a few minutes every day. It's about learning to bring that stillness into every moment of our lives. Imagine going through your day, and even in the busiest moments, you are able to find a sense of calm. You don't get lost in the noise of the world. Instead, you remain centered, aware, and present. This is the power of meditation. It teaches us to be present with what is, without judgment or attachment. It teaches us to accept things as they are, without the need to change them or resist them. In this space of acceptance, we find true freedom. Freedom from the constant pull of negative thoughts, freedom from the anxiety that comes from trying to control everything, and freedom from the stress of a mind that never stops. Buddhism also teaches us about mindfulness, which is closely connected to meditation. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in whatever we are doing, whether it's eating, walking, talking, or even washing dishes. In each moment, we bring our full attention to the task at hand, without allowing our minds to wander. This practice helps us to stay grounded, to stay in the present, and to reduce the tendency to become lost in negative thoughts about the past or the future. The beauty of mindfulness is that it doesn't require us to be in a quiet room or to sit in meditation. We can practice mindfulness anytime, anywhere. The key is to remember to be present in whatever we are doing. When we do this, we begin to notice how much of our suffering comes from our own minds. We notice how often we worry about things that haven't happened yet, or how we replay past mistakes over and over again. But when we are truly present, we realize that these worries are just thoughts. They are not the truth. The truth is that the present moment is all we have. And when we learn to be fully present in this moment, we discover that we already have everything we need to be at peace. We don't need to change anything. We don't need to control the future or fix the past. All we need to do is be here, now, in this moment. But to be truly present, we must let go of our attachment to our thoughts. This is one of the core teachings of Buddhism, the idea of non-attachment. We are not our thoughts. We are not our emotions. We are the awareness behind them. Thoughts come and go, but we remain as the observer. When we let go of our attachment to our thoughts, we begin to experience true freedom. In Buddhism, we often speak of the concept of emptiness. This doesn't mean that there is nothing in the world, but rather that things are not fixed or permanent. Everything is changing, and everything is interconnected. Our thoughts are just like this. They arise and pass away, but they are not permanent. They are not who we are. When we realize this, we can stop clinging to them, and in doing so, we free ourselves from the power they have over us. The path to inner peace is not about avoiding or suppressing our thoughts. It's about seeing them for what they truly are, fleeting, impermanent, and not the essence of who we are. When we sit in meditation, we don't try to force our thoughts away. Instead, we simply notice them and let them go. We watch them come and go like waves on the shore, and we remain as the stillness beneath the surface. Over time, this practice of meditation and mindfulness helps us to quiet the mind. It helps us to find a deep sense of peace that is not dependent on external circumstances. We realize that true peace is always available to us, no matter what is happening in our lives. It's not something that we need to search for or achieve. It's already within us, waiting to be discovered. When we practice meditation and mindfulness, we begin to see the world through a different lens. We begin to see the beauty in the present moment, even in the midst of chaos. We learn to respond to life with calmness, patience, and compassion, instead of reacting with anger, frustration, or fear. We begin to realize that the key to happiness is not in changing the world around us, but in changing the way we relate to it. The more we practice, the more we begin to experience a profound sense of peace and contentment. This peace is not dependent on circumstances. It's not something that can be taken away from us. It's a peace that comes from within, a peace that is unshakable, no matter what is happening in our lives. In the end, the practice of meditation is not about achieving anything. It's about being present with what is. It's about finding stillness in the midst of movement, calm in the midst of chaos, and peace in the midst of suffering. It's about realizing that, no matter what happens in life, we have the ability to remain centered and at peace. This is the power of meditation and stillness. It's the power to let go of our attachments, to release our negative thoughts, and to live fully in the present moment. When we practice meditation, we discover that peace is not something we have to search for. It's something that is always within us, waiting to be found. And once we find it, we realize that it was never lost to begin with. Compassion is the antidote, transforming self-criticism into self-love. When we talk about compassion, it's often seen as something we offer to others, something that we give to those around us. We try to be kind to others, offer support, and show understanding. But what about ourselves? Have you ever stopped to think about how you treat yourself? How often do you criticize yourself for mistakes, flaws, or even the smallest imperfections? It's easy to be our harshest critics. We judge ourselves, thinking we are not enough, that we need to be better, smarter, more accomplished. But what if, instead of beating ourselves up, we treated ourselves with the same compassion we give to others? Imagine for a moment that you were your own best friend. How would you speak to yourself? Would you berate yourself for every little mistake? Or would you offer kindness, encouragement, and understanding? The truth is, self-compassion is not just a nice idea, it's a necessity for our well-being. When we are compassionate with ourselves, we are less likely to be weighed down by the negative thoughts that often consume us. And just as Buddhist teachings guide us to show compassion toward others, they also emphasize the importance of showing compassion to ourselves. In Buddhism, there is a powerful practice called metta, which is loving kindness. It's about wishing happiness, peace, and well-being to others, but it's also about offering these same wishes to yourself. It's easy to get caught in the trap of thinking we must be perfect, that we must meet some standard to be worthy of love or kindness. But in truth, we are already enough. You are enough, just as you are, without the need to change or be any different. This is the essence of self-compassion, recognizing that your worth is inherent, not dependent on external achievements or how others perceive you. Think about the times when you've felt low, when you've made mistakes or failed at something. In those moments, did you offer yourself comfort, or did you get caught in a spiral of self-criticism? Self-criticism often arises from the desire to do better, but it can also be a form of punishment. It keeps us trapped in negativity, replaying every misstep over and over in our minds. Instead of helping us grow, it makes us smaller, more insecure. But what if, in those moments, you were able to pause and offer yourself the same compassion you would offer a friend? What if you could say, "It's okay, I am learning, I am growing, and I am worthy of love, even in this moment"? In the Buddhist tradition, there's a concept of non-attachment. It means not clinging to the past, not holding on to our mistakes or regrets. When we criticize ourselves, we're holding on to those negative thoughts, feeding them, and allowing them to define us. But by practicing self-compassion, we can learn to let go of the self-judgment. We can see our mistakes as opportunities for growth, not as evidence of our inadequacy. When we let go of that harsh inner voice, we free ourselves from the constant cycle of negativity and begin to open up space for healing. In meditation, one of the practices involves focusing on feelings of loving kindness. You start by sending love to yourself, wishing yourself peace, happiness, and freedom from suffering. Then, you extend those wishes to others, to loved ones, to acquaintances, and even to those with whom you have difficult relationships. But what's interesting is that it all begins with yourself. If you cannot offer love and compassion to yourself, how can you truly offer it to others? Compassion starts within, and when we nurture it in ourselves, it grows outward, transforming the way we relate to others and, ultimately, the way we experience the world. Now, you may be wondering, but how can I stop being so critical of myself? The first step is awareness. Simply recognizing when you are being hard on yourself is powerful. When you notice a thought like, "I'm not good enough," or "I always mess things up," take a moment to stop and breathe. Acknowledge that thought, but don't let it define you. Remember, thoughts are just thoughts. They are not who you are. You have the power to change the narrative in your mind. Once you've noticed these critical thoughts, try to replace them with something more loving. Instead of thinking, "I'm not good enough," try thinking, "I'm enough just as I am, and I am learning." Instead of, "I always mess things up," try, "I made a mistake, but I can learn from this and do better next time." The shift doesn't happen overnight, but with practice, it becomes easier. You start to see yourself not as someone who is broken or flawed, but as someone who is learning, growing, and deserving of compassion. It's also important to remember that self-compassion doesn't mean letting yourself off the hook or avoiding responsibility. It's not about excusing poor behavior or ignoring mistakes. Instead, it's about recognizing that you are human, that you will make mistakes, and that those mistakes don't define you. You can hold yourself accountable while still treating yourself with kindness. It's about finding balance between self-acceptance and self-improvement. In Buddhism, there is a teaching that suffering is a natural part of life. It's something that everyone experiences in some form. But the key is not to avoid suffering or to run from it. The key is to transform suffering into wisdom. When we experience pain, disappointment, or failure, it's an opportunity to grow. We don't have to be perfect. We just need to be compassionate with ourselves as we navigate the challenges of life. Self-compassion allows us to embrace our imperfections and turn them into stepping stones on our path to greater peace and wisdom. As you begin to practice self-compassion, remember that it's a journey, not a destination. There will be times when you slip back into old patterns of self-criticism, but don't be discouraged. The important thing is that you keep coming back to self-compassion again and again. Like any practice, it takes time and patience. Be gentle with yourself as you would be with a child learning to walk. It's a process of growth, and with each step, you are getting closer to a place of inner peace. In conclusion, the key to transforming negativity in your mind is not through force or resistance but through compassion. When you treat yourself with kindness, when you recognize your inherent worth, and when you let go of harsh judgment, you create space for peace to enter your heart. Self-compassion is not a sign of weakness but a sign of strength. It takes courage to be kind to yourself, especially in the face of mistakes or failure. But when you begin this practice, you'll find that the negative thoughts that once consumed you start to lose their power. And in their place, you'll find a deep, unshakable sense of peace and love, not just for others, but for yourself. You are worthy of compassion. You are worthy of love. And the more you practice this, the more you'll begin to see the beauty that lies within you. Let go of self-criticism and embrace the healing power of compassion. It is the antidote to negativity, and it will lead you to a life of true inner peace. Living the present, impermanence, and the release of negativity. The present moment is all we truly have. It is easy to get caught up in the past, replaying old events in our minds, or worry about what the future holds. But in doing so, we miss the beauty of the moment right in front of us. Every second that passes is gone forever, but it also opens up a new moment, fresh and full of potential. This idea is at the core of Buddhist philosophy, the understanding that everything is in constant change, and nothing lasts forever. We often hold on tightly to our negative thoughts, fears, regrets, and worries, thinking that they are somehow permanent parts of us. We let them define us. But if we look closely, we'll realize that these thoughts are just passing clouds in the sky of our mind. They are not fixed. They don't have to stay there forever unless we allow them to. The more we attach ourselves to them, the heavier they become, weighing us down with unnecessary burdens. Let's take a moment and consider the nature of a river. Imagine standing by a riverbank, watching the water flow. The water is constantly moving, always changing. Each drop is different from the last, but it's part of the same stream. If you try to hold on to the water, you'll only cause it to slip away. You can't hold it in your hand, it will pass by, just like all the thoughts and feelings we experience. When you understand that the river is always flowing, you stop trying to grasp the water, and instead, you allow yourself to experience the flow. This is exactly how we should relate to our thoughts and emotions. They are not something we need to hold on to or fight against. We don't need to force them away, either. We can simply let them come and go, like the water in a river, knowing that they are impermanent. They come, they stay for a while, and they go. And when we stop clinging to them, we can experience true freedom and peace. In Buddhism, this concept is called impermanence, or anicca. It is the understanding that all things are in a constant state of flux. Nothing in life is permanent, not our happiness, not our sorrow, not our successes, nor our failures. The moment you accept this truth, you begin to release the tight grip you have on your emotions and thoughts. The more we hold on to the past or worry about the future, the more we suffer. We forget that the present moment is the only place where we truly live. Let's think about how we often cling to negative emotions. When we feel angry, sad, or disappointed, we sometimes don't let go of those feelings right away. We let them fester, turning into resentment, frustration, or regret. We replay negative conversations or mistakes in our minds over and over until they become part of our identity. We say things like, "I'm a failure," or "I'm always unlucky," or "I'm never good enough." These negative thoughts can become so ingrained that we start to believe them, even though they are not the truth. But here's the truth. These negative emotions are not who you are. They are temporary states of mind. They are like clouds that cover the sun. Just because there is a cloud in the sky doesn't mean the sun has disappeared forever. In the same way, just because you are feeling anger or sadness doesn't mean these emotions will last forever. They are temporary, and they can pass, just like clouds drifting across the sky. The key is to understand this impermanence. When you truly realize that everything is temporary, it becomes easier to let go of negative thoughts. You start to see them for what they are, just passing moments. The more you practice this, the less power these negative emotions will have over you. You begin to understand that they don't define you. You are not your anger, your fear, your regret, or your sadness. You are the awareness behind these emotions, the one who can observe them without becoming lost in them. This is where mindfulness comes into play. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully aware of the present moment, without judgment. When you are mindful, you acknowledge your thoughts and feelings, but you don't get caught up in them. You observe them with a sense of detachment, knowing that they are just passing experiences. This is the practice of living in the present, of accepting that everything, including your thoughts, is temporary. Now, think about a time when you were truly present. Maybe it was when you were enjoying a meal, or having a conversation with a loved one, or simply watching the sunset. In those moments, you were fully immersed in the experience, not thinking about the past or the future, just being in the here and now. That feeling of peace, of calm, is what we can experience more of when we embrace impermanence and release our attachment to negative thoughts. When you begin to let go of negative thinking, you free yourself from the prison of your own mind. The more you practice this, the more you will find that you are no longer weighed down by your past mistakes or future fears. You will find that the present moment holds all the peace and joy you need, and that you don't have to chase after it in the future or dwell on it from the past. This is not to say that you should ignore your feelings or deny your emotions. Negative emotions are a part of life, and it is natural to feel anger, sadness, or fear from time to time. What matters is how we relate to these emotions. If we cling to them, we suffer. But if we allow them to come and go, without holding on, we create space for peace and clarity. In Buddhism, the ultimate goal is to achieve nirvana, a state of perfect peace, free from the cycle of suffering. And this state can be reached by understanding the impermanence of life and releasing attachment to our thoughts and emotions. When we stop clinging to the past and worrying about the future, we can experience the peace that is always present within us. The next time you find yourself caught in a cycle of negative thoughts, remember that they are just like clouds in the sky. They will pass. Don't try to hold on to them or push them away. Simply observe them and let them go. In doing so, you will open yourself up to the beauty of the present moment and find the peace that is always there, waiting for you. By practicing this awareness of impermanence, you will begin to release negativity from your life. You will no longer be a prisoner of your thoughts and emotions, but rather a witness to them, able to let them go and return to the present moment, where true peace resides. Rebirth of the mind, lasting transformation, and final reflections. As we come to the end of this journey together, take a deep breath. Let go of any tension in your body. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself standing at the top of a mountain. The air is fresh, the view is clear, and you can see the path behind you, long, winding, and filled with challenges. But now, it's behind you. You've reached the peak. Just like that mountain climb, the journey to remove negative thoughts from your mind is not an easy one. It's filled with moments of struggle, moments of doubt, and even moments when you feel like you'll never make it. But here you are, standing at the summit, looking back and realizing that all those obstacles, all those tough moments, were part of what brought you here. They were all necessary to help you grow. The mind, like a garden, is constantly changing. You plant seeds, you nurture them, and sometimes, weeds grow in places you least expect. Negative thoughts, much like weeds, tend to pop up in the corners of our mind when we least want them. They grow unnoticed, taking up space, draining our energy, and clouding our vision. But through awareness, patience, and compassion, we can begin to pull out these weeds, one by one, and make space for the seeds of peace, kindness, and wisdom. Now, it's time to reflect on everything we've learned together. True peace doesn't come from avoiding challenges, it comes from how we face them. When we can stop identifying with our negative thoughts, when we can stop allowing them to define who we are, something incredible happens. The mind begins to clear, like the sky after a storm. The clouds part, and the sun shines through. This is the transformation that Buddhist teachings offer us. This is the freedom that comes from understanding the impermanence of everything, including our thoughts. Let's think for a moment about the idea of impermanence. In Buddhism, we are taught that everything is in a constant state of change. Nothing lasts forever, not the good, not the bad, not even our thoughts. When we understand this, we begin to realize that no thought, no matter how negative, can last forever unless we hold on to it. We give it power when we cling to it, when we identify with it, when we believe that it is who we are. But in reality, we are not our thoughts. Thoughts come and go like waves on the ocean. Some waves are small, some are big, but they all pass. And so do the thoughts. So what happens when we stop clinging to these thoughts? What happens when we let go of the need to control every emotion, every feeling, every thought that arises in our minds? We begin to experience the peace that lies just beneath the surface of the constant chatter. We begin to understand that we are not defined by our thoughts, and we are not prisoners to them. When we stop fighting our thoughts, we stop giving them power over us. And that, my friend, is when true transformation begins. This journey is about more than just clearing away negativity. It's about rebirth. It's about understanding that no matter how lost you may feel in your thoughts, no matter how dark the path may seem, there is always a way forward. There is always a way to return to peace, to clarity, and to a deeper understanding of yourself. Buddhist teachings encourage us to embrace the present moment fully. The present moment is all we truly have. The past is gone, and the future hasn't arrived yet. All we can control is this moment, this breath, this thought. When we focus on the present moment, we stop allowing our minds to wander into the past or the future. We stop dwelling on things we cannot change, and we stop worrying about things that have not yet happened. We simply experience life as it is, in its full richness, in its full beauty. And here's the beauty of the Buddhist teachings. They show us that we have everything we need within us to create a peaceful, joyful life. It's not about looking for peace outside of ourselves, in other people, or in material things. It's about realizing that peace is always within us, just waiting to be uncovered. It's about learning to quiet the mind, to see beyond the noise, and to connect with the stillness that lies at the heart of our being. We all have the capacity for change. We all have the capacity for growth. The key is to begin. It doesn't matter where you start, or how many times you may have stumbled along the way. What matters is that you are here, right now, taking this next step toward a more peaceful mind and a more peaceful life. When you find yourself lost in negative thoughts again, remember that they are just clouds passing through the sky of your mind. They do not define you. You are not the storm. You are the sky of vast, open, and infinite. The storm will pass, and the sky will return to calmness. And as you walk this path, remember the teachings of Buddhism: compassion, mindfulness, and awareness. These are your tools. They are your keys to unlocking the door to a peaceful mind. Each time a negative thought arises, acknowledge it with compassion. Don't fight it. Don't judge it. Simply observe it, and let it pass. Be mindful of the present moment, and stay aware of the space between your thoughts. In that space, you will find peace. The beauty of this journey is that it is always unfolding. There is no final destination, only an ongoing process of growth and understanding. You will continue to learn, continue to evolve, and continue to deepen your connection with your true self. And with each step, you will find that negative thoughts lose their grip on you. You will no longer be controlled by fear, anger, or sadness. You will begin to experience the freedom that comes from being at peace with yourself and with the world around you. Now, as we reach the end of this video, take a moment to reflect on how far you've come. You've already begun the work. You've already taken the first steps on the path to mental clarity and inner peace. Remember, this is not the end. It is just the beginning. The journey will continue, and with each step, you will grow stronger, more resilient, and more connected to the peace that lies within you. As we close, I encourage you to carry these teachings with you, to practice them daily, and to share them with others who may need to hear them. The more you practice, the more you will experience the transformation within yourself. You have the power to change your mind, to free yourself from the chains of negative thinking, and to create a life of peace and joy. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope these teachings have helped you find a sense of peace within yourself. May you continue to walk the path of mindfulness, and may your mind be free from the clutches of negativity. Stay present. Stay aware. Stay peaceful.